Hi Mahesh.
Hi Raj.
Yeah. All right. So let's get started with the technical introduction of SnapLogic, and then we'll start with hands-on maybe from the next session.
Sure.
So as the other day we were talking about what is SnapLogic as a tool. The main purpose of SnapLogic as a tool is for the cloud integration. That means if you would like to transfer the data, or if you'd like to transform the data amongst your cloud endpoints, then we use a cloud integration platform tool, and SnapLogic is one such tool that helps us with cloud integrations, right? And let's get started with what are all the features that we have, and talking about the interface of it, and we need to know how it works in the backend in terms of architecture and all that, nomenclature and all that. So that is what we have as part of the plan. We'll start with architecture, and then we'll talk about all the objects that we have uh, within SnapLogic.
Okay.
So let's start with architecture. Yeah, sure. Right. So in architecture, there are three components that we need to identify and understand. First, there is something called platform and snaplexes and snaps. So let's start with platform. Platform means you see the web interface that you access to build your jobs, you build your pipelines, right? End-to-end development. So this is what called as a platform. When you log in with your credentials, uh, let me just quickly interface of the web portal wherein we'll do all the development and all that is what platform. Now, who is taking care of hosting this? Who is taking care of upgrades of this? And all that is completely taken care by SnapLogic. This is offered to us as an iPaaS solution, that is integrated platform as a solution. That means this platform itself is available for us as a web service, not as a solution. So we do not have to worry about hosting this particular URL and upgrading the software that runs this particular platform and all that. SnapLogic will take care of that from time to time. So this is what first component, platform. Now second thing is where or when you create a pipeline here and when you execute that particular pipeline from here, it has to run on a particular machine, right? In order to use the resources of that particular machine, be it the cores of your machine, or be it the amount of the memory that it requires, the amount of CPU cycles that it requires to load, to read, and to handle that load. So where do that particular run happens is on your machines which are identified as your snaplexes, right? So second object in your architecture is snaplexes, and a snaplex is typically is your cloudplex. Now talking about snaplex, based on where you host these, right? The machines that you use to run your code on, to run your pipelines on. If the machines are hosted on your cloud, they are called as Cloudplex. Instead, the same machines are hosted on premise within your firewall, then that is called as Groundplex, right? There can be hybrid Plex also, which is you can have certain nodes as part of your cloud and then some nodes as part of your on-premise. But otherwise, typically a cloud Plex and a ground Plex, and then you have a hybrid Plex also. So that is the second part of your architecture, that is SnapLexes. First thing where you write all the code, write as in you build all the code. Second thing, the nodes or the machines that actually run that particular code, which is SnapLexes. Now, when you create a particular pipeline in your platform, how do you create that pipeline? What do you need to create these pipelines is objects called snaps. All right, to read a particular source or to write in a particular target, and after read and write in between, if you want to perform any data transformations, you need a particular object called a transformation object called snap. So these snaps are again available within your platform itself. Snaps are part of your platform. Now, why do we talk about specially snaps is based on your licensing, based on your requirement, based on your partnership with SnapLogic. The availability of snaps will differ. There are advanced snaps, right? There are premium snaps and there are core snaps. Core snaps as in your basic snaps, read, write, and most uh, uh, popularly used snaps and so on. But there are premium snaps also, that means very rarely used and which are advanced in nature. Something like, for example, if you have to read and write from a messaging queue called Kafka, you need your premium snaps. Kafka snaps are by default not available in your core snaps. You need to pay more to get those snaps. So that is the reason snaps are available based upon your purchasing amount, based upon your licensing and all. And they are basically packaged into something called snap packs. Okay, snap packs. So there are premium snap packs, there are core snap packs, and so on. So these three put together, your architecture will form. And how the communication happens amongst all these is you have your cloud web app, which is your platform, and you have your data sources, and your data sources can be on cloud like this or on premise, right? It can be an RDBMS or a Hadoop cluster, which is on premise, or it can be your cloud endpoints like your AWS, Salesforce, and so on, right? So how does the read from your data sources be, they may be your cloud or on premise, and then they the pipelines which you build on the cloud web app, that is your platform, will be communicating, right? Your pipeline is built on your platform, that is just your code, but you built a code defining things like your source is so and so, your target is so and so. That means when you run that particular pipeline, your SnapLogic server need to communicate with your third-party source systems, right? All these third-party source systems. So which particular instance or which particular server software would take care of this particular communication with your external systems, as well handling the load of your pipeline processing, is what the SnapLex does. So that is what the SnapLexes are doing here. The players that takes care of communicating with your code as well as your data points, data systems. Code means which is nothing but your metadata, right? And running that particular code on your SnapLexes. So that is how the communication happens on your SnapLogic. Three main parts. One is your code repository, which is your cloud web application. Another one is your data systems, which can be your third party data systems, which may be on your cloud or on your premise. And when you execute your pipelines, which are built on your platform, the communication with your external systems, data systems to read write process is done with the help of SnapLex and as well the data transfer, right? So that is briefly about
Raj, I have a
architecture of
question.
SnapLogic and how it works. Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand the difference between the Cloudplex and the Groundplex. So can the Cloudplex get the data from on-prem hosted server, say for example Oracle or MySQL,
Yeah.
or it has
So
to
you
go
see,
through
when you
Groundplex?
call a particular Cloudplex, it is not just the machines that run your code. Cloudplex is also a cluster of your data systems. Okay. So
Okay.
when you build a Cloudplex, this Cloudplex will have the instances on cloud which run your code, which can communicate with only your on cloud data systems. A Cloudplex cannot communicate with your on premise data systems.
The
Same
only
with
ground So Groundplex can communicate with both on-prem systems and the cloud systems, is it?
uh, that is referred as your hybrid plex typically.
Oh, okay. That's very
Okay,
interesting.
as we talked
Because
about, there is your Cloudplex, there is your cloud ground, and then hybrid plex.
okay,
So
okay,
in hybrid plex, what we'll do is we make some of these cloud systems, we make some of your on-premise systems also part of that particular common SnapLex, which is called as your hybrid plex. Otherwise, if it is a pure cloud, it can communicate only amongst your cloud endpoints. Otherwise, if it is purely ground, you can communicate only within the systems that are behind your firewall, that is on premise.
got it, got it.
Okay. Yeah. So that is pretty much what we have with architecture, and these are pretty standard advantages we find with working with any cloud integration tool. That is, it comes as a self-service. That means you can build some reusable solution and all that, and it can communicate with all your latest architecture and infrastructures, and it is connected all the 24/7 since it is offered as iPaaS solution. And next thing is there is something called an AI assistant which is integrated within the SnapLogic platform, which basically helps during the development phase. So how it works is, for example, let's say now I'm building this snap. It is immediately suggesting what can be the following snap that comes downstream to the previous one. So it is suggesting the mapper snap here. It is blinking. If that is what the expected one, I can just select that and that is added. And again, you see the moment I added mapper, it is immediately suggesting what could be the possible snap that comes. If it is the one that you expect, you can. Otherwise, you just select from the suggested snap. So this pane, what we are seeing, suggested pane, this is your iris pane. Okay. So how they are coming up with the suggestions is they scan or they capture the information across all the users based upon the designs that they make, which can be the most probable snap that comes after a particular snap, is what has been learned on real time, right? It is not something like they just defined over a place and then it is using the same thing. No, it is something learned on real time basis. As the users keep using a particular snap, as users keep designing their snap pipelines, the AI assistant, that is Iris, will learn about them accordingly, right? And we'll get those suggestions generated accordingly here. So this will help us a lot actually during the development uh, to ease up your work. So that is what we have: your Iris client, an integration assistant, an AI client, right? Artificial integration intelligence assistant. So next, talking about the terminology and what we have and so on, key terms and concepts. These are the few key terms and concepts that we need to get ourselves familiar with. Starting with snaps, we already talked about in detail about what is a snap and what we have. But In order to talk about, we have a bunch of snaps, about 400 plus snaps are there, but they all are actually categorized into 6 particular categories, right? Based upon the behavior, they based upon their capabilities and all that. So there are read snaps, there are flow snaps, parse, transform, format, and write snaps, right? As the name indicates itself, read snaps are the ones that helps us read the data from your sourcing systems. Same with write, in order to write or deliver the data. There is something called format snaps and parse snaps. These two are the important things. Parse snaps and format snaps. So what happens is, or why we need these is, you see, whenever a file object is read through your SnapLogic pipeline, that is read as a binary object. Okay, a file object is read as a binary object. Even when you are generating a new file, SnapLogic generates that particular file as a binary object. But during the data transformation within the pipeline, the data transformation happens as a document, okay, not as binary data, as a document data. That means the document data is in the format of JSON. Since it is a document data, the document data is in the format of JSON. So the purpose of parse snaps, whatever we have, are used to convert the binary into document. When you are reading the data, you read the data in binary format. But eventually, in order to transform the data as part of your pipeline, you need to convert that into document format. So
Okay.
what snaps that are helping that with conversion from binary to document is parse snaps. Similarly, after performing all the data transformation through your pipeline, at your final step, when you want to write the document, you again have to convert that document data into binary format and then you write your file. So your format snaps will help us do that. Format snaps help us convert document to binary format. And then the other two formats are copy and transform. They are pretty standard transformation type objects it will handle. As you can see, join, sort, mapper, copy, and all that is standardized data transformation. Now, one important observation. Whenever we bring in a particular snap, okay, we have snaps like this, and then we have snaps like this. Sorry, let me just, okay, and I'll bring in few snaps, and then, right. So these are the snaps that I have. Now observe the links, the input anchors and output anchors of every snap. Few snaps have anchors in circle, few snaps have anchors in the diamond, right? Few have diamond as input, few have diamond as output, circle as input, circle as output. So what actually does they mean? So that is what we have been talking about, document and binary. So diamond color link means that is your binary data. Circle color link means that is your document data. Now let's understand again, come here. Your read snaps, as we already discussed, a file object is read in the binary format. So that is the reason read object or the read snaps will give the data in the binary format, which is in your diamond link. But in order to transform the data as part of the pipeline, you need to convert them into document. So for that purpose, parse snaps are required, for which input is taken as your binary. You see the diamond link input, but given the output in the document format, right? You take the read, which is giving the binary, you use the parse, which will convert binary to document, and then you use this transform or flow snaps, which will be taking input in the binary, output also binary. See, both circles. But when it comes to writing a object, write again will happen in the binary. That is the reason the write snaps will accept the binary data only. But how do you convert this transform or flow data into binary? You need to use format snaps. For those, you take the binary as input, circle as input, and diamond as output. So, right? So now, hopefully, it makes more sense about the types of snaps and the links that they have in two representations, diamond and circle. So that's about snaps. And talking about snap packs, snap packs are nothing but based upon how they are categorized based upon their capabilities. You just put them into a category called snap pack, right? So for example, all the snaps that deal with Azure SQL are put into Azure SQL snap pack, right? So this Azure SQL snap pack will have read type of snaps, write type of snaps, even if applicable, flow or parse type of snaps also, right? So that is what snap and snap pack means. And we were talking about earlier, right? Snap packs are premium snap packs, which will be provided as part of your paid subscriptions only. Core snap packs as part of your generic subscriptions, right? So whatever the snap packs that we are seeing here as part of the trial account, these are your core snaps, whatever we are seeing. But in your projects, in your enterprise level, you may see additional snap packs also based upon your licensing and so on. Next, pipelines. So pipelines we already have seen briefly. So they are basically built or using snaps connected to each one of them. And in order to run a particular pipeline, we'll use the run option available in the designer, right? So that is what a pipeline. Now, when you're creating a pipeline, we are using a bunch of snaps together. Now imagine there is a requirement, you have to build maybe 10 pipelines. Now in these 10 pipelines, certain part of your transformation logic is getting repeated. In the 10 snap pipelines that you have to build, certain part of transformation logic, let's imagine maybe uh, your each pipeline is on an average is going to be 30 snaps each. Each pipeline on an average is going to be having 30 snaps each. Now in each of these pipeline, at least up to 10 snaps, what are the transformation logic that you need to achieve, it is to be repeated. Okay, so what do? Instead of recreating those 10 snaps across all the 10 pipelines every time, you can create that part of your snap pipeline as a reusable object. Okay, the part of your snap pipeline you can create as a reusable object, which you can simply reuse that as part of your new pipelines instead of creating that from scratch. So that reusable pipelines what you can create is what called as patterns. Okay, patterns means your reusable pipelines which you can use to be part of new pipelines. So that is what a pattern means. Okay, so here in this diagram you can see this is a pattern I have created. which is used as part of these two different pipelines and then extended with their additional pipeline logic. You see, until this particular level, it is the same logic I need to use in the two pipelines. So I created a pattern and then I simply used it and then additionally added whatever the additional object that is required. Okay, so that is what a pattern. So far we talked about snap, snapback, pipeline, pattern. Next, tasks. Tasks are part of your manager. So before we talk about tasks, let's get familiar with these three views here. In your platform, when you log in, first you'll be launched into designer, and then you have two other views, which is manager and dashboard. So manager is mostly for your administrative activities, right? In order to create project folders, in order to create connection objects, in order to maintain your user profiles, giving access management, all that is done in your SnapLogic Manager. Next, about dashboard. Dashboard is kind of a monitor for you in order to monitor the health of your Snaplexes and the execution of your pipelines also, right? If you would like to look at the runtime properties of the pipelines that were executed, you can come here and then look at how many rows were processed and what is the status of that particular run, what is the throughput of that particular data, and all that information is available in your dashboard. Okay, designer is for the development part, manager is for the administrative part, dashboard is for the monitoring purpose, right? So now coming to the manager, we have something called tasks available. So task is used in order to execute a pipeline on automated basis. Okay, so there are something called triggered task and there are scheduled task and ultra task. Let's talk about each one of them. First, let's talk about scheduled task. Scheduled task is nothing but, as the name itself mentions, is used in order to enable automation of your pipeline execution. For example, let's say there is a pipeline that you need to run daily on maybe at 7 o'clock in the morning. So how do you ensure that is run on automation basis without any manual intervention is you need to create a scheduled task. So that's the purpose of your scheduled task. Next, trigger task. Trigger task is one of the very important feature and useful feature available within SnapLogic. That is, you see whatever the pipeline that you create in your SnapLogic, which is nothing but a data integration solution, right? You design some logic there that you need to read some from somewhere. You apply some transformation logic, you have to write somewhere. Now, if this particular solution needs to be called as part of some other application, how do you ensure that? How do you able to remotely call this particular solution is you can actually expose or publish your pipeline as a web service API. Your pipeline, whatever you create, can be published or exposed as a web service API. How do you do that is you need to create a trigger task for your pipeline. So what is a trigger task? Trigger task enables a pipeline to be exposed or published as a REST API link, REST web service API link. Okay, so once the pipeline is created with a trigger task, we'll be getting a HTTP link using which you can call that particular pipeline as a web service API remotely from any other applications also. That is what trigger task. Next, talking about ultra task. Ultra task is a very advanced level which is not available with the trial version we'll be using. So we may not be covering the hands-on part of ultra task, but what is ultra task is it is used for streaming of the data, right? The real-time processing of the data, and as well It is used to run on your Spark-based architecture. You see, scheduled tasks, trigger tasks, or the generic pipelines are processing the data on your batch mode. That means when you call that particular pipeline or when you trigger that particular pipeline, the data is captured and then processed and then loaded. But if there is a pipeline that needs to be running always, right? That means on a streaming basis, then you need to create something called ultra task. So that is what ultra task means. So, but mainly the most popular tasks are triggered and scheduled task only.
Okay.
Okay. So that's about tasks what we have. SnapLexes, we already talked about them. GroundPlex we have CloudPlexes, and then there is your hybrid Plex also. And as we already talked about, a SnapLex is nothing but a cluster which will be consisting of multiple nodes within it. Now, these nodes can be your Windows nodes, can be Linux nodes, and these nodes will be execution servers as well as your data servers, right? Your data endpoints as well as your execution servers. And then there is something called organizations. Organizations is nothing but your environments, right? Your dev environment, production environment, testing, and so on. So you have Snaplexes for your dev Snaplex, prod Snaplex, stage Snaplex, and so on. They are referred as orgs, organizations. Subscription features we talked about. Two things. One is the premium snap packs, which are available as part of your subscription feature, and as well as ultra tasks. So that is what a brief overview of SnapLogic as an integration platform, right? We need to know about all the key terms and all that. So before we close the session, or before we go for the knowledge check, if you have any questions, you can let me know.
I think I'm good for now.
Okay. So before we close the session, we have 4 questions just to check a knowledge check. Let's see how much we were able to capture through this session.
Okay.
Right, so first one, a Snaplex is a computational unit which performs a data operation. Is it true or false?
True.
Is it a computational unit?
I think it's a snap. Snaplex is it is a processing for multiple computational units. Yeah, it's false.
Exactly, false. Snaplex is not a computational unit. It doesn't perform a single data operation. The answer is a snap actually. Snap is a computational unit which performs a single data operation. So obviously this is false. Next, a pipeline is created by connecting one or more nodes.
False. Snaps.
False. Snaps, right? So which is the one that is that we get by connecting all the nodes? What is a collection of nodes?
It's a Snaplex.
Snaplex, right? So next, ultra task can be created for any pipeline if the subscription feature is enabled.
No, it's only for streaming pipelines.
Correct, exactly. For the batch mode pipelines, ultra task cannot be created. It is only for the streaming pipelines. Next, which of these are the types of snaps which we talked about? Which are the valid snap types? The 6
The second
types.
one, B. Read,
Read,
pass,
pass,
transform,
transform, flow
flow,
from,
format,
exactly,
return.
the second one, right? Okay, so that's about it. And in this session, this is what we learned. The architecture first we talked about, and then we briefly looked at what are the different concepts or the terminology that we need to get familiar with. Okay, so we'll stop it here for today, a brief session.
Okay, okay.
And then from tomorrow onwards, we'll start with hands-on. I'll also walk you through how to get the environment set up for you to start hands-on as well.
Okay. So the important, very important in the core snapback is the binary one first. We'll see. I'll create a sample pipeline. I'll say binary sample in your folder. Here you see binary snapback. Okay. So binary snapback basically means working with the binary data. When I say binary, you might have a question. What is a binary file? The SnapLogic process everything in the document format, which is a JSON, which is a complete semi-structured data, right? So apart from JSON data, if there is any file that is considered as binary, okay? So one of the common snaps in this, we start with the file reader. I want to read a file, okay? Where the file is present. It can be in the project uploaded in the SnapLogic UI, or it can be in AWS S3 location, or it can be in some other file server, SFTP. You see, these are all the several systems. S3, Azure Data Lake, Azure Storage. If it is SFTP, we use basic auth. If it is Google Service, Google Storage, and SMB, all these separate systems where this snap will connect and bring the file. Okay, now we'll select any file. I think these are your sample files, right? So we read it. This is just the reading of a file, but not parsing. This is a CSV file, so we need to parse it. So here, one thing you can observe is we have the this diamond shape connectivity, right? This represents binary data. Now this is suggesting to connect to CSV parser. I'll click on this. Okay. This circle connectivity shows data transfer between over this snap output happens with JSON data. Here we see we are reading some file. It shows this is a binary. That's a CSV file, right? With all the default settings. I didn't do any settings change. So this converted to JSON, which is structured data. In this case, maybe semi-structured. Yep, this is converted to JSON structure. Now we'll work with it. Same way, we have directory browser snap, which will browse the files, which means just list the files. What are the files present in the given directory? It will just list it. Same like Windows Explorer. If we open all the files will be listed, right?
Yes.
That way. And file writer. This is to write a file. How do we write a file? This takes, as you see, this will take a binary input, which means we need to use format to write any file.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the formatter snaps to convert to from JSON to these data types, okay, data format. Let's take, this is my CSV data. I will convert it to XML. I will bring XML format. And I need to give the file some name, test.xml. Okay, I'll save it. Here one thing, here I did not give any path, right? Where to save the file. I just gave the file name, but I didn't give the path where to save this file. So by default, it will save in the same location where this pipeline is present.
In projects.
Yeah, in your project folder where it is. Yeah, so hell AM project. In that folder, it will save it. If I need to keep it under some other folder where you have access to, we need to give the complete path which starts with SLDB, which means SnapLogic database. Okay, I'll give the complete path like SnapLogic trail slash shared slash text.xml. I think this S is also small, which means here in the root folder. Okay, so here SnapLogic trial is the environment name followed by the actual project. I want to share, keep it in the main shared only, so I'll give directly test.xml. I'm running it. It failed. We'll look at the reason. Unsupported protocol. Okay, I missed one more slash. There should be 3 slashes. Now it says could not convert the document to an XML. Means there is something that XML does not support in this data. Okay, we need to work with that data and do the mappings accordingly and then format it. Okay, in this case, let me do JSON. If JSON supported data is there here. Yes, it is finished. When it turns green, means it is finished. We can see the statistics here. 999 docs are present in this. It also failed. What it says, failed to write. Here you see, you do not have access to write to that folder. So we'll write it to some other folder where we have access to. So health test we created, right, last time?
We created that.
So in this environment, there is a space, there is a folder. File that is complete. Now we can go and see file is present. we can see the data converted from CSV to JSON. This is a simple way of data conversion. Okay.
Okay. So we can use this XML data for any data loading in across any system.
Yep. We can connect to different data formats like CSV, Excel, Avro, XML, JSON, all these. Okay. We'll go to the next snap in binary. So directory browser just shows the list of the files. As I said, it will just show the list and it does not read any file. Okay, and S3 file reader. This is a snap dedicatedly for S3. To read file from S3, it's not this. To read a file from S3, we use file reader, S3 file reader. To write, we use S3 file writer. Okay, but recently in August last month, SnapLogic released a separate snapback only for S3 operations to connect to S3. Here you see
Is
Amazon
on S.
S3.
Yes.
Yeah. So this has S3 browser, which means listing the files, copy, like copying the file from one folder to other folder within S3, delete a file, and S3 download, which means we can read a file from S3, and pre-signed. This is to do some pre-signed objects. Okay, upload, which means file write. So far we have been using it, these snaps, since very long. So right now we can start using this also. Okay, but in the binary, let's see, we need to create an account. So this is a format. Okay, we can select if you have the complete path, you can get it from the AWS and paste it here. If you want to search for the path here, once you provide the account, you can click on the suggestion. It will list all the folders or the buckets first. It will list all the buckets first. You need to select one of the buckets where you want to write the file or read the file. And then if you click, let's say this is the my test bucket. Okay, it comes here. Again, I want to list the folders inside this my test bucket. Again, you can click here. It will show all the folders listed under this bucket. Let's say new folder. Again, if you keep click again, it will show like this, all the subfolders, shared folders. Until you get required folder selection, you can do suggestion. It will list. That's very easy to work on this now. Okay, and we give the account here. There are two types of accounts S3 supports. AWS S3 normal account, which we give access key and secret key. If there is any encryption, this is usually set to none. If there is any encryption enabled on the AWS S3 side, we need to enable this server-side encryption or client-side encryption, or if it is IAM role. These kind of settings we need to enable and validate and then work it. Okay. So same way we have zip file. We can read a zip file. Let's try to find some zip file here. Do we have any zip files? No.
No.
I think I have one in my local. Let me check. I don't have right now. Anyway, we can download any file and use it. Let's do one thing. This file itself, we can use zip write. Okay, we're adding it as a normal file write, right? We can zip it, test file dot zip. Okay, file is written. Now I'll try to read the same file, same zip file. Here it shows. This is my test file dot zip preview. I have a JSON file, right? So here we can use JSON parser. Okay, we can see the data as it is. Clear, right?
We just converted that file into zip.
Yeah, and I have a CSV file, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
converted into JSON and written a zip file. Now I
zip file.
am reading that zip file here, converted it back to JSON. I mean,
Yes,
parsing it with JSON. I
yes.
can view the same data that is written here. I can view that here. Okay. And we'll see. There are other snaps. Do you know encryption?
Mm,
Okay.
no.
Sometimes we work with files encrypted, right? When we need to transfer the data between secured systems, we need to encrypt the file before we send it to the target location. There they will be decrypting it. For that, there are several encryption and decryption methods. Okay, one of the common encryption method where it is mostly used is PGP encryption. Okay, we will give the account. We need to create public account or private account. For encryption, we create public key account. So we need to have that key, PGP keys. Okay, we work with PGP keys here. So the encryption happens using that keys. Okay. Right now we don't have any key generated, but you can try it out. We can get a sample keys. If you Google it, sample PGP key. There are many tools. They will just generate the key. Here, this is a sample key. Oh, this is not full. We can get somewhere here. No, this is public key. With this, we can encrypt. Usually, when we transfer data or the files between a bank, okay, they are encrypted and then sent. Encrypted with a secured certificates, the keys, secured keys, PGP keys. Okay, for that we use. Same way we have other encryption types available. AES encryption, blowfish encryption, PGP encryption. Okay,
Mhm.
hope you're getting it.
Yes. So it's
Okay, there's one more snap can discuss. This is multi-file reader. So you need to have a use case where you have to read multiple files at once. So you can select the file here, multiple files here. And if you want to read files in a directory and also subfolders in that directory, you can select this, include subfolders. You have a file, okay, or multiple files in your directory called A. A folder contains 2-3 files and also one more folder. I want to read the files present inside that folder also. For that, I will use this wildcard. Is there any filter? If not, you can give star. Star will read all the files. Okay. Here you can select the file and also you want to read multiple files. You can read. But here you need to remember they all should be having the same pattern. I mean, same type of files. Like say they all should be CSV or they all should be JSON kind of. Else you do not get accurate data in the output of this snap. You're getting it? If
it's
you
like
have different files, like you
different
have
files.
multiple files in your folder. Yeah, here you gave CSV file. Okay, some JSON file here, CSV file here. So this snap will produce binary output for both files in binary. You cannot work with two different files, right? You need to parse them. Parse converting this binary into JSON format. So for that, you need to then use router to route it to respective flow and then parse it according to the file type. Usually that's a very rare case. Okay. Usually if we need to read multiple files or we need to read files present in the subdirectory, subfolders, we use this snap. Okay. Now we'll see the most common options in the snap. We have seen many snaps, all these snaps, right? You might have seen some common options like retry. You see number of retries. This is present for many snaps, which can connect to some endpoint. So in case if the connection fails between the snap and the endpoint, it will try again. If I keep 2 here, let's say when I'm trying to read this file, some network connectivity lost, or file was in access by multiple other applications, so it may throw an error. In that case, we can have multiple attempts. So I gave 2 retries here, and the retry interval I'll give like 5 seconds. So first time it failed, Snap failed to read this file. It will wait for 5 seconds, do one more attempt. Okay, we have 2 attempts. So it will do first attempt, tries to read. If it reading the file, that is okay. Else, if it still failed second time, then it comes here, check interval 5 seconds, wait for 5 seconds, and do the last attempt, remaining one attempt of this retry. It will try to read the file. If it is still failing, Snap will fail. Okay, and this is common
Got it.
for many snaps. You are going to see that. Okay, and all the options available in the snaps vary from snap to snap, but a few common are number retries, and snap execution. This is for every snap. This is available. Okay. When I say validate and execute, I think you already know this, right? The data, this snap will work during validation also. If you set to execute only, this will work only when you execute a pipeline. Disable means we are disabling it. This is clear, right?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Do you have any sample S3 account?
No.
Okay.
Is it offering any demo account like Snowflake and all the stuff?
No, AWS won't offer demo accounts. They offer pay as you go, like as you use, you need to pay that. I have one account that I closed due to the pending bills. Okay, I'll try to see
Yes,
if
they.
I can activate that. Unless we pay the bill, they don't reactivate
Okay,
the account. Okay.
got it. Let me try from my end also. Also, could you just drag and drop bulk load in Salesforce Snap?
Salesforce bulk cloud. You want to try here?
Yes. Yes, yes. I was just curious. I saw something bulk create, yes, bulk
Bulk
create or
creator
yeah,
or update or upset.
anything is fine. Just
Okay.
authentication of account. I saw something.
Mm. You don't have a account.
Yes, I don't have an account. Just try to add an account.
How come you already have it here? It is not showing.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what I asked this question last time. Do we want to
Mm.
validate the
You
account for
create a
each
test
snap?
account. Okay. Salesforce test account that should show in any snap. That's it is showing here. Test. Okay. Okay. This is Salesforce.com token based account.
Yeah, security token based tokens.
Yeah. Here, if we go to documentation, I think I did I explain about the options.
Yes,
There is a
regarding
button to
many
go to
options.
documentation. This is just to maximize, minimize. To delete the snap, save a snap.
There is no authentication.
Okay, looks like it does not support simple token based account. That might be the reason.
Got it.
The Snap needs a walkthrough account, which is commonly used, or mutual authentication account. With a key store, there's a different type. We have to have the keys, SSL keys available, or walkthrough account. You need an instance URL, client ID, client secret. This you can get from Salesforce.
Salesforce itself.
Yep. Client ID you need to generate. All those. Okay.
What's the
And
endpoint?
hmm? Sorry,
Endpoint, I saw something. Endpoint authentication below. Say,
here.
which one is better, either mutual authentication or
This is the common one.
common one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you click on continue,
Yep.
okay, and you see this one, this auth endpoint
Yeah,
2
yeah. This is common.
common. So we don't have
Yeah,
to
that is common.
anything.
No need to change it. This is
Gotcha.
common for
Yeah, all we
Salesforce.
have to get like the client ID and client secret from the Salesforce
Correct.
system.
Instance URL, you need to provide your instance URL, which looks
Login.io.
yeah, instance dot snaplogic, sorry, salesforce.com it comes, right?
Yes.
The instance ID like something ABC some ID dot salesforce.com.
Yes.
That is the instance URL. We need to give it.
Okay.
Okay. The same way, have you given that other account? Okay, this login now. Okay, here we didn't give any instance URL. This is only login URL. If it is sandbox, you give test.salesforce.com.
Hmm.
All right.
Yes, now I got idea.
Okay.
So this was one of my doubt. Actually, I just got that same account in update and create, but I wasn't able to find it on all those bulk load, bulk create, bulk upsert, bulk update, anything. So this
Okay.
was the
Okay.
reason for it.
Okay. You can work with this snaps once you create a workflow account. Like we have bulk query also.
Hmm.
If from the Salesforce table data, it comes getting bulk data. And this is for huge data, bulk data operations. It is very useful for update also. If you have to update, work with thousands of documents, insert or the create will do record by record, right? Whereas
Mhm.
bulk will do in a batch mode. So that batch is, do we have that? Okay, batch is not given here. I think it takes internally, but it does in a batch ways. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, we are good with the binary snaps, right? You can try these examples. Okay, the sample use cases, reading file, and here if you have S3, you can just create an account, click AWS S3 account, here use. You need to have access ID and secret key. That's it. Usually this is a normal account. If you're using in the demo account, you can generate access ID and access key, secret key, and then give that here. It will work. Then if you use that here, if you give direct path, you can use S3 snaps. You can use the bucket path. It shows the directories and the files listed. Okay.
Yes.
So that's it. We can start other snapbacks tomorrow.
Yes, sure.
Okay. The other important in the core snap are flow, transform. Okay, I'll cover all these. Okay.
Mm.
Transform is the biggest one we will cover at the end. Before that, normal snapbacks we can cover here. Okay. All right.
Yes, sure.
Okay, Swell. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay.
So when you enable this option route error to error view, you'll get an additional view enabled where you can capture those errors and you can continue the pipeline from here onwards. Something like writing that error into a common error file or a table, etc. So this is what you can do if you want to enable error handling at every snap level. So you just go to every snap and enable errors, and all these can be written into a common file, something like you take a union somewhere, keep it unconnected though. So this is how you can basically build your pipelines. Wherever that is applicable, you just enable your error views and then create a uh, catch component, something like try catch segment. So these are also are like try segments and these are catch segment. Based on how many number of error views that you have enabled across your pipeline, you can take a common, maybe something like a union. It need not to be union always, just based on how you wanted to handle it. Here I just want to have a common uh, write component for all of this. So I'm just using union and then writing into an error log and so on. Let's see if I have, I can, this is reading from SQL, right?
We'll try to fail one of this snap, maybe at runtime. So in pipeline level, I think we have written, okay, I'll write maybe okay, I'm reading from employee table, right? Certainly null is not failing. See, how do we fail it? We'll do one thing. Okay, so now you can observe here, my expressions failed here. and it's going into error view, right? So whatever the error that it actually captures, you can see what's the error and all. So it says that the function doesn't actually apply on the type of data that we are passing into it. So that's what it says. And this data is what captured into here, and then eventually will write into error log. Even if I run this, so your error log will be written there. Okay, so here is the log that we just generate. Now this is one way of handling it. If you have a very complex pipeline and let's say it's about 30-40 snaps that it's going to contain and so on, doing this particular approach may not be feasible. You can't go enable error view for all the snaps across your pipeline and then go setting up a catch component like this and then write it. Instead, what you can do is you can enable error logging, or you can enable this catch kind of setup for the entire pipeline itself, right? So if you can just go back to snapline pipeline properties. Earlier we were using this parameter section. This was used to parameterize the pipelines where you can declare the required parameters and pass the values, etc. Now we're going to look at this particular section called error pipeline. For us to select a pipeline as an error pipeline, first we have to configure that particular pipeline to be acting as an error pipeline. If you just go randomly select a pipeline and try to save it, it will not allow it. See, it says that this will change the default behavior, okay? And then if you go to your snaps, see, first of all, it is not allowing me to use that particular pipeline as an error pipeline, right? It says the pipeline that we have chosen is not meeting the minimum requirements to be an error pipeline. What is the minimum requirement? The pipeline must have a single unlinked document input view, right? That means it needs to have at least one input view as an unconnected input view, right? It should not have any physical inputs. So let's first design a pipeline to meet that particular criteria, and then we'll come and enable that particular error logging for one of the pipelines. So firstly, let's create a pipeline, something called catch error. You can give any name though. So I'll use a mapper to be my unconnected input view, right? I'll simply write to formatter and then write. Maybe I will. So I'm using one of these arguments. Basically gives us what's my parent run user ID and so on. And then I'll concatenate with a hyphen, and then I'll concatenate with d.now, right? And then I'll concatenate with JSON. Basically generating a dynamic file name with my parent run user ID and then timestamp when it is going to generate. So at the mapper level, what all I'm going to capture, let's keep it simple. I'll just use pass through, null safe access, and then I'll generate a timestamp when it is generated, date.now. Okay, that keeps it simple. Otherwise, later you can just cut it down to the only elements that you wanted to read. What do I mean by that is, if you go to error view and expand your JSON, so basically you see these are all the elements that you'll be having as part of your error message. You have an error element, you have a reason element, you have a resolution element. If you do not want to read this entire error response, you can just pick and choose and use those tags in that particular mapper, that whatever that I've created, and then you will be able to read only that particular segment of your error. Otherwise, if you want to just keep it entire thing that to be logged, I'm just using saying that pass. That means whatever that input comes in, just pass it through entirely, and I'm just adding one additional tag saying that run date and so on. Okay. Now this is created without a physical input, or at least with a unconnected input view, right? Unconnected input view, so that this can be enabled as part of my any other pipeline as a error log. So let's go to any. Okay, let's say I have here it is, and then I'll try to write something here. Otherwise, we'll go here only. We'll eventually disable these error views. First, let me map my error pipeline to the pipeline properties itself. So I'll come and enable catch error, save, I'll disable this part and I'll go here, say, now you see, we'll see a new option saying that route to error pipeline. Earlier, we haven't had this option. Earlier, the option was discard route to error view, right? And you don't handle this at all. So now I'll say route to error view. Here also I'll say in case of error, route to error pipeline. Okay. So now you can see the red color preview. So this basically says it is going to send that particular error to error pipeline. So now let me run this. I'll also enable dashboard just to monitor whether that error pipeline will be running as a sub pipeline as part of this.
We have actually mapped the error pipeline at the pipeline properties level.
Yes, you need to go to pipeline properties, edit pipeline.
Actually, we have mentioned this error pipeline at the pipeline properties level. Do we need to update at snap level also?
You need to change because earlier I manually changed to error view, right? So I'm reverting that. Otherwise, if you go to other snaps, you'll see that option will be automatically set.
Automatically enabled. Okay.
So here it is. I'll run this. So this is done. Now this was the last run execution. My pipeline ran and the underlying error pipeline also ran, right? So we can even go to my log, and this is a log that got generated. I'm not sure why timestamp has not been generated. Let's see what's wrong. Did not got saved. The latest version is having all the bugs. Okay, so now you can see the timestamp is generated and the corresponding log will be there inside. So this is the two ways of capturing the logs. In the current example, I'm just writing it to some log file, but it need not to be this way. If you want to handle it at pipeline level itself, you can write all your exception handling there. Say something like based on your error message, you may want to route it to a different segment or a different table, etc., and so on. And as I was mentioning, as part of the error message, you have multiple elements like a reason, error message, and resolution, and all that. So you may want to capture only those tags here. So whatever that is that you wanted to do, a little customization in terms of handling those errors, yes, you can pretty much do that either at, if you are doing that at pipeline, you can do that error pipeline level, or If you are enabling that in the main pipeline itself, you can also do that as well. So that's pretty much about the error handling, what we have at SnapLogic level, and how do you handle that and so on. And while you do this, if you wanted to send any parameterized values also to your error pipeline, so this is what we can do, right? So error pipeline parameters means first the parameters has to be declared at your patch error, right? That is error pipeline, and to those values is what we can basically send whatever that you wanted to send here. So that's about it.
Suppose like my file has 3 columns, huh? All the columns
File
are
has
null. There are some null records in the file.
yeah, this null. This is how you handle it.
Null self access only. Because I tried
Null
it,
self
it
access.
was not working. I was just practicing yesterday. So I could not get rid of them.
Is it a null value or null string? There is a
Null,
difference.
null string only.
If it is null,
No,
that is a
there
string.
is no data in the. I created Excel file. There are like a few blank columns. So when I just read it out, then there are like few null records, blank records. There was no data in that.
That entire record or only one or two elements?
Entire record was like null. I don't know
Entire
whether.
record means that then that will not be read at all, right?
No, it was
You
showing
can you
when
can
just preview the
you
data.
can
Like no data was there in that row, but there are like 10 rows. When the data was there in only 3 records, there were 10 records inputted.
no, you can actually prevent that. You can just filter it out if you wanted to. You do not want to
And
process your empty records and so on. It can be either at your parcel format or somewhere it is. You see here, ignore
yeah,
empty data. So if it is
uh,
enabled, it should ignore that record. So you can
mhm,
handle that using default options. So
mhm. Because I've used this Excel parser, I didn't find it anything there.
Excel also, I believe there must be. See here, insert null columns.
It was something different, right?
Otherwise, if you are still getting, that means it is not null cells, they are empty cells. There is a difference. Empty cells means there must be some empty string already present in that one.
I mean, nothing was there, so I just tried. If you can write something kind like conditions in the exception in the mapper, if conditions
Mapper
is
doesn't filter out records. So
uh,
you have to use filter snap. If you wanted to filter rows.
oh filters, yeah, yeah, okay. There's something called condition snap. I could see something.
The conditional is your if else.
Uh,
So you still need to write. You'll be getting a result as true or false. It doesn't filter records as such.
oh,
Conditional will simply say whether your record is meeting the condition or not.
it will not
If
filter
you
the
wanted to
values.
filter records, you have to use filter snap.
Okay, because I thought I write a condition, and just leave blank data source. So it was not
That
allowing.
condition you can directly write in filter snap itself. So whatever the rows that meet the condition will come. Otherwise, they get discarded.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now we are defining static values for the pipeline parameters, right?
correct.
So can we get those values from the database table or something? How would we Informatica?
In that case, you just have to take your source file or a table, whatever that is,
Okay.
and then you need to call the sub pipeline where you have declared your this one. We need to go in order to understand. We need to look at this one only. This list one, where it is.
Pipeline executor.
Yeah, this one. So this will be your table, whatever that source it is.
Okay.
And this will be your actual pipeline in which you have declared your parameters, right? And that you will be calling through pipeline execute. This is your table where you have declared your parameters in table, and the actual pipeline is being called as a sub pipeline. Now what you do, sub pipeline, these are the parameter names of your sub pipeline that you will declare.
Okay.
And your incoming is your columns of your database.
Okay.
So that's how you can dynamically pass the DB values or whatever the physical data object that you're reading from. It may be DB or a file, etc. That's
Okay.
one way of. There is another thing that we'll be looking at maybe tomorrow. There is something called external parameter file. It is applicable only with respect to files, not with tables.
Okay.
We call them as config files, wherein you can declare parameters in a JSON formatted config file. And this JSON formatted config file can be mapped here as part of your expression libraries,
Okay.
as part of your edit pipeline properties. And there is a syntax to call that external parameter from your file. So in that case, you don't even have to declare any local parameters at your pipeline level.
Yeah.
You can directly call them. You just have to map the file, and whatever the parameters that are declared in the file, you can directly call them as part of your pipeline anyway. You just have to mention that particular element name. So I'll prepare a file by tomorrow's session, and then we'll see how do we map it and how do we call it, and all. We just have to follow certain syntax as well. This is applicable only with respect to the file. But if you have them in database level, yes, this is the method that we just talked about. You just have to use that physical SQL table, whatever it is, and call your actual pipeline as a sub pipeline using pipeline execute, and then map your incoming DB columns to the corresponding parameters of your pipeline. Okay.
Okay. So in the last session, we discussed about environment fill here, right? The current version for 30 quarterly release and the
The
pod
version,
communication. Yeah, all these references. These are clear, right? References.
yes, those things were clear. Also, I could able to relate the SitePass platform, how much it is capable of integrating with multiple data sources.
Okay, okay. So here, this is an example of building a data lake project using SnapLogic pipeline. Okay, usually, traditionally, data lake project happens in 4 different phases, right? To capture, conform, refine, and deliver. So capture, which means we bring the data from various sources and data systems. It can be applications, it can be data systems. We bring data from data systems into the storage location. Here in this case, Amazon S3. Okay, using pipelines, we connect to any of these. So we can connect to any JDBC connective source or API-based source. So we bring data and load into a storage location in respective S3 buckets. Okay, that we call capture. And the conform, which means we apply conditions to the data. Okay, we convert the data types, data format, and restructure, and removing the error data. These kind of things will happen. The conform, we apply transformation or conditions to the data in the conform. Okay, and put into respective the actual. Okay, here we have raw data. Here we have
JSON.
structured data. Yeah, and the structured data will be pulled to will be pushed and loaded to Snowflake, which means a data warehouse.
So Snowflake is our target, right?
Yeah, in this case, Snowflake is the target data warehouse. Okay, the data lake system is about having the whole set of data from various data sources for analytic purpose, right?
Yes.
It is for that. And the processed data that we con moved here, that we processed here, will be loaded to Snowflake. Here, data will be refined. The data structure, applying some conditions, transformation, anything will take place in the conform, and will be the refined data will be moved to Snowflake, the data warehouse. It's Snowflake's the data warehouse capability to connect to any reporting system. Okay, it can be Tableau or it can be Power BI, any other reporting tool. Here we see the visualization dashboards. This is a traditional data lake architecture. So this entire thing we can build using SnapLogic pipelines. Okay, in all these 4 phases, capture, we bring data from sources and do load into S3. And we restructure, applying some conditions to the data in S3, within S3 with our pipelines. And we load data from S3 to Snowflake with our pipelines. And we can also load data from Snowflake to the reporting tool Tableau with our pipelines. It can be Power BI also. So let's say we have chosen Microsoft products here. Okay, the storage location would be Azure Blob Storage. Data warehouse would be Azure SQL or Azure Synapse, and reporting tool would be Power BI. Hope you're getting
Yes,
it, right?
yes, got it, got it. So you explain me another one similar situation, how the data flow will be happen.
Yeah, and this is an data lake project.
So could you just go back to that old slide, like just
Yeah.
one part which I got confused, like we are capturing from either any one of the sources like Salesforce, Mongo, Market, or anything, send us. So capture in
Yeah.
the sense that we see some Amazon S3, right? Like, so that does that represent some temporary data storage area or like
Yeah. Yeah. Understand this as a staging.
stagings? Okay.
Yeah. So this can happen periodically, right? Bringing
Periodically.
data
Okay.
from sources, and let's say we need to refresh the data and refresh the dashboards every week. Okay, we schedule the jobs. The entire process will happen once a week.
Okay. So this Amazon S3 will be generic or it will be varying?
Yeah, here this is an example of using S3. I said about if you choose Microsoft, it will be Azure Blob Storage.
Azure DevOps.
Yeah. Okay. If
Got it.
you choose Google Cloud, it will be Google Storage.
So is it mandatory we should define on temporary data like cloud form when we get data from one source to target?
Yeah, this is an architecture. Okay.
Architect.
Traditional architecture. Yeah. Building a data lake. It can
Okay.
vary.
Can be. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It depends on the data and the use cases. But this is a traditional way.
Traditional. So
Yeah.
why I
Staging the
got
data.
confused was I saw on video the source
Mm,
was something and it was targeted to Salesforce. What they did was like they just applied multiple snaps and I didn't saw any
mm,
connection with any of the AWS or Google Cloud or anything. That's what I thought.
mhm. Anyway, we will once we
Yeah,
start working on with the pipelines, you will understand more.
understand. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
You can continue.
Right, the terminology. Okay, we'll discuss about the terminology we use. We frequently use uh, further. Okay, so this is another illustration. Okay, the SnapLogic capabilities. Here we say connect. Okay, connecting various applications. Exchange data means transferring or exchanging data between the applications or across the applications, and managing the integration and performing transformation, predicting data, which means AI models and machine learning models in this case. Okay, all these are the high level capabilities. Okay, we see the terminology snaps. As you might have already understood, snaps are the small functional units in SnapLogic. Okay, they are the actual data processors. So each snap has its own capability, right? When we say file reader has the capability of reading a file, bringing a file actually, and directory browser has the capability of browsing the list of files in a directory, in a given directory, and the functionality of Excel parser is to parse an Excel file. This way, there are many snaps. Each snap has its own functionality and its own. Okay, and the nodes. Nodes are the servers where we run the pipeline, where the SnapLogic uh, containers are installed. With these nodes, we usually call it as JCC, which means Java Code Container. Do you have an idea on Java JVM?
No,
Okay, it's a Java virtual machine, usually termed as JVM. Okay,
JVM.
inside this, yeah, Java code runs. Since SnapLogic is built with Java,
On
yeah, the entire the Snaplex, the package was built on Java code. So we call it as JCC, Java Code Container. So you have two servers. In two servers, you install SnapLogic packages and start the nodes. So each node is a separate server. Okay? It can be VM, it can be a separate server. And the group of nodes together, we call it as Snaplex. Okay, it's like a cluster. Under one Snaplex, we will have multiple nodes. This segregation we will understand when we see dashboard. Okay, and the pattern is a reusable type of pipeline. Let's say you have a Salesforce to uh, Redshift connectivity. So you need to use this connectivity for various use cases. Okay, you need to rebuild the same pipelines. I mean, with the same in the same pattern. You need to rebuild several use cases. For that, you can create a pipeline and make it as a pattern, which can be reused. Which means we are keeping a templates. Hope you are getting it.
this
Okay.
patterns we can easily replicate when we develop a pipeline and
Yeah, it's like a template available there. We bring it, we
run
modify it. That's it.
like this.
Yeah, you can create a pattern pipeline and place it there.
This-
So anybody in your team or in your organization can use it
We
for
use it.
common use. Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Next, we'll see the Snaplex types. Okay. Since we are discussing about snaps and nodes in the Snaplex and nodes, there are two types of Snaplexes. Okay. There are two types based on the connectivity. Okay, Cloudplex and Groundplex. There is one more Plex called Extreme Plex, and now it is not available. It is deprecated. This is this. It was only for big data Hadoop, and now it is not available. Okay. Now we have only CloudPlex and GroundPlex. CloudPlex, yeah, means uh, it is given by the SnapLogic team. Okay, you just as a client, as a customer, you use it. You buy the CloudPlex from SnapLogic team. So you need a Snaplex. It's according to your load and your pipelines, the number of pipelines and executions. You need a CloudPlex with 4 nodes, which 4 GB RAM and 4 core CPU. You just use it. It is created, managed, and maintained. Everything will be taken care by the SnapLogic team. And this is in the control of SnapLogic team. We do not have any control on this. We just use it. Okay, it is in the AWS cloud. Yeah, CloudPlex. So we just pay for it. We bring CloudPlex, they will provision it. We just pay for it and use it. And we do not have any kind of control. When there are any issues with the CloudPlex nodes, we will reach out to the SnapLogic team. Okay.
Support.
Yeah, support. So this is purely managed by the SnapLogic team, and they will have it in the SnapLogic cloud, which means AWS. Okay. If we don't want to manage the servers and all your systems, okay, endpoint systems are present in the cloud, then it is recommended to use CloudPlex. Okay, because you do not have to manage it. You do not need a separate DevOps engineer or server admin to be present. If all your endpoints are in the cloud, okay, like you have Redshift, you have Azure SQL, you have a Salesforce, you have NetSuite. All these are cloud applications and cloud data systems. There's no connectivity and there's no system you have to connect to on-premise, which means your network, your VPN. In that case, you can simply manage, you can simply have a Cloudplex, which will be managed by the SnapLogic team. You access it to run your pipelines there. Okay.
So it will be really based on our use cases and our source and target. If it's a cloud-based one, we'll be going with Cloud Plus. So it's a grounded
Correct.
one, we'll be going for an app version of SnapLogic Ground Plus.
Correct. Groundplex means we will provision the server, we will install the SnapLogic. Server admin has to do all these things. Okay. We need to install, set up the network, Groundplex network, connectivity, the firewalls, everything that we manage the server. Okay, and Groundplex is recommended when you have systems that connect to your on-premise network. Let's say Oracle systems, SAP systems are mostly on-premise, right? They will be installed in your data center or in your Azure VPN or VPC or AWS VPC, which can't be connected to any other cloud, right? In that case, you can have Groundplex. You need to provision a Groundplex, and this Groundplex can be in the cloud or in your uh, on-premise data center also. Okay, this purely means when we need on-premise connectivity, we use Groundplex, and this runs behind our firewall, right? Between the Groundplex and the internet, we will have a firewall, which is for the network security. Here, this will be taken care. All the security and firewall systems will be taken care by the SnapLogic team. Okay, hope you are clear on this because this is very important when we take decisions in the deployment model. Okay, so the communication flow. So when do we use GroundPlex and CloudPlex, how the use case will happen, data communication will happen. This is an important slide to understand. Let's say we are operating SnapLogic, we are creating pipelines, everything in the browser session, in the internet, right? That connects to SnapLogic control plane, which in the internet AWS cloud. Let's say you have a CloudPlex and you have a GroundPlex, both. So when do you have to use one? Here it shows. The SnapLogic control plane is the CloudPlex is part of the control plane. Okay, it can be in the same VPC or different VPC, but available to the internet. Here we are connecting. In this case, we use the CloudPlex. In a case where we connect to systems like cloud apps and data system, Oracle NetSuite, Salesforce, Azure, Snowflake, ServiceNow, REST APIs, internet-based applications, Workday, all these are cloud. Right? So here, the important thing to understand, when we connect to GroundPlex or CloudPlex, what about the data security? Okay, it always there is no data transfer between SnapLogic Cloud and the SnapLex node. Only metadata transfers. Here it can be CloudPlex or it can be GroundPlex. Let's say you executed a pipeline. Okay. In the year you triggered a pipeline, which means an event initiates in the SnapLogic control plane that sends metadata, the pipeline's metadata, to the node. If you select CloudPlex, to the Cloud SnapLex node. If you select GroundPlex, to the Ground SnapLex node. It sends only the metadata. There is no data transfer here. Hope you're getting it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, only the metadata transfer here. Here, node will prepare the pipeline, loading the metadata. Will prepare the configurations, all the libraries, everything that required by the pipeline. It prepares and initiates the connection to the actual data system. So here you say between the control plane and the node, only metadata. Between the node and the target system or the source system, the data transfer happen. The only difference is that this is behind our network's firewall, and this is in the cloud, which is AWS, SnapLogic AWS cloud. Okay, hope this is clear. This picture, entire picture.
Yes, I got a picture of this. One
Okay.
thing is the whole flow. So the ultimate
Okay.
goal will be one, but the process happening in backend will be slightly different depending on our cloud pledge of numbers.
Yeah, functionality is same. There is no change at all. Okay. Only difference is that you will maintain GroundPlex and SnapLogic will maintain CloudPlex.
CloudPlex.
Okay. The functionality will no differ. Okay. Here also you will have metadata. Here also you will have only metadata. And nodes will not do cache or stage of any data. It just does the processing. Okay. We bring data to the node, we do processing and move it to target, and then the session ends. When the connection ends, data will not be there. There's no storing of data or caching of data, actual data, in the node. Okay. In very few cases, data staging will happen. Okay. There is one option for that. We can stage the data when we are working with a large set of files, 1 GB of file or 2 GB of file. There's an option to stage the data, which means first node will store the file, that large file, in a temp location. And then once the whole file is received, it will do the process of the data. And once the pipeline completes, it will delete it. I'll show you where when we see the files processing. Okay, the SnapLogic cloud architecture. Since we are discussing and I'm frequently talking about control plane, what are things present in the control plane? It's a very big thing, right? The control plane means the SnapLogic cloud present in the AWS network. It has several things, several components, and at a high level, from a user point of view, we will see the UI. Okay, what we see in the UI. The designer manager dashboard, everything is operating in the browser is from the control plane. Okay, this control plane we have SnapLex, which means CloudPlex. CloudPlex will have this separate VPC. Okay, let's say this is your on-premise SnapLex. This is CloudPlex. Okay, control plane will connect to your on-premise GroundPlex and also connects to CloudPlex.
CloudPlex. So it's a kind of hybrid operating one. Either you can connect with CloudPlex or GroundPlex.
Yeah, hybrid. So this is entirely since SnapLogic is entirely in the AWS. Inside the AWS network, the control plane cloud, we will have cloud plexes in one VPC and all other SnapLogic systems into another VPC. Okay, SnapLogic has several systems like S3, Redshift, SQS, Amazon RDS, DynamoDB, all these, and it has other servers also. They are called proxy servers. In between, before this, okay, the first layer of control plane is proxy servers. Proxy and load balancing will happen in the front, and then the connection goes to any of these services. Okay, it can be SnapLex, it can be our DB storage or any other service. So first layer is the proxy and load balancer will handle any request. Okay, and here in all these places only the metadata stores in the Elastic Cloud. No data will be stored. And as it shows here, the execution engine, which means data plane, the entire thing, hosted by the SnapLogic, and on-premise, which is our GroundPlex, can run on behind our firewall, and on your own Azure VPC also. Your GroundPlex can be in AWS network also. It can be on your laptop also. You can install a SnapLogic package. Okay,
Yes.
we'll go to deployment models. Yeah, do you have any question there?
No.
Okay. So these are the important deployment models to understand and take a decision when to use GroundPlex, when to use CloudPlex. Okay. The first, we have a use case that connects to where source and target both are in the cloud. Okay. Let's say we are bringing data from Salesforce and loading it to S3. Both are in the cloud. In this case, it is recommended to use CloudPlex since you will have less hops because both are in the cloud. Okay. When you think about the connectivity hops between your GroundPlex and the end system, compare it with the CloudPlex and the end system. I'm talking about the network hops. Okay. When you have your GroundPlex node, it connects to your VPC or your LAN first, right? First it goes to your gateway, and then goes to the service provider, then goes to internet cloud, and then it connects to AWS network or Salesforce network. There will be multiple hops. That number of hops will be reduced when you use GroundPlex. So you will have better performance. You're getting it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And see, in the other case, we have a use case. We bring data from Workday, which is in the cloud, and we need to push it to on-premise system, like SAP here. In this case, we do not have the um, connectivity of our on-premise system to use CloudPlex, right? Only our network, which is present in our intranet, will have the connectivity to our system. So we use GroundPlex. So here, our GroundPlex will have connectivity to cloud system and also on-premise system. So here we will use GroundPlex, cloud to ground. Okay, and here you may have a question. Here, since your GroundPlex has connectivity to this source system and also the target system, when to use what?
Yes.
Okay, here the simple thing, where is the target location?
The target would be SAP, right? Or
Yeah, here target is SAP, which means our
so how will
SAP.
it be connected to the ground? Like from cloud, we can synchronize using the security token and all this stuff. So towards ground, so how it will be?
I didn't get it. Could you repeat that?
From cloud source, we can connect Workday with their security token and their API and their URL. So connecting to a ground plus in the sense SAP will be installed in that as application in the system, right? So the target how we will be transferring into the cloud.
Yeah, it depends on the endpoint. Okay, some endpoints require some packages, right? SAP requires some
Package.
package, right? In this
Okay.
case, let's take Oracle. Oracle does not
Okay.
require any package. Sometimes it requires for bulk operations. We need to have the bulk utility to be installed. Okay, in such
Okay.
cases.
So I hope you got my question. Like SAP is staying in the system as a ground source and Workday is a cloud source.
Correct.
So connecting SAP wouldn't be a much
Yeah,
harder one,
your
right?
GroundPlex in this. Yeah, your GroundPlex will connect to your source and target both. Okay, so here
Okay.
it can be you are bringing data from SAP, loading it to Workday, or you are bringing data from Workday and loading it to SAP, vice versa.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
In both cases, you will use only GroundPlex.
Both ways. So,
Okay, let's understand. Okay, let's think out of the scope. Okay, usually in a data connectivity system, any data system or a database system, we choose the connectivity, not about the connectivity, the write operation where we are writing the data to our server to be near to that, right? Read operation can be faster from the larger or broad network also, but write operation will take time, right? Write operation is a time consuming operation in a data system point of view, in a DB point of view. Write operation is
okay.
a expensive operation compared to read. So the server where we are writing to our, let's say your source is present somewhere in the other data center in the US. Okay, I'm talking about a simple scenario, not within the SnapLogic. Okay, you have two data centers. Okay, In this case, you have two ground plexes, kind of. Okay, you have data center in US, you have data center in India. Okay. Your source location, okay, where you bring data from, is present in the US data center, and you need to write it to some application in the India data center. In that case, which servers you choose? That's a generic question, right?
Yes,
Which
generic
server we
one.
need to choose? Because my US can connect to that system, my India can also connect to your system. Both will have connectivity because everything is in my network only, my internet. But we need to take a decision which one will give better performance. The right operation is an expensive operation, so we choose the server which is closer to my data loading system, data writing system. So in this case, I am bringing data from US data center, loading it to uh, an application connecting to India data center. So write operation will take place to India system, right? So I will choose India data center. Hope you got me.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, anyway, that is beyond this. Okay,
Beyond, yes, it's a kind
related.
of out of the box stuff.
Yeah, out of the box. That is a generic in any solution, not only SnapLogic, in any data solution. Okay. And this is the other use case, ground to ground. Here you do not have to connect to any on-premise systems. Your source and target both are present within your system, within your data center or within your intranet. You're bringing data from SAP, loading it to Oracle. In this case, you do not have to connect to any CloudPlex. You do not need CloudPlex because CloudPlex cannot connect to on-premise system, right? And also one more point I think I missed. SnapLogic does not allow any customizations on CloudPlex. That's also one of the reasons you need to have a GroundPlex. Okay, let's say you want to do some modifications in the logging like a log4j. Okay, that SnapLogic does not allow users to do any customization in the system, in the GroundPlex nodes, because they are present in their premises, SnapLogic teams premises, and they are automated nodes actually. They are automated VMs. So it is impossible to do customization for customers. That's the reason they do not allow any customizations. If any user wants, any client wants something to be changed, like some logging to be file to be updated, some connections or some configurations to be made, they recommend to use ground. Okay. So this is clear, right? Ground to ground.
Got it.
Okay. The hybrid. Okay. This you will now easily understand when I talked about an example.
Yes,
Out of the
you
box
meant
example,
yes,
right?
out of the box.
Here, yeah, we have the necessity to connect to both on-premise system and also cloud system. We need to bring data from, let's say, Salesforce. Okay, we need to read data from Salesforce, load it to SAP. Here, the Salesforce, I have a CloudPlex and GroundPlex both. Okay, my CloudPlex doesn't have connectivity to SAP, so I cannot use it. Okay, in this case, my GroundPlex will have connectivity to both source and target, but there can be many restrictions. Some organizations will have restrictions, okay, connecting to on-premise and cloud. Okay, here in our use case, we need to use GroundPlex for our on-premise system and CloudPlex for a cloud system. How do we do in that case? How do we bring data from there and load it here? This, with respect to data gravity, we need to choose where the right operation is present and the SnapLogic connectivity is present. Here we have the connectivity present. And the important thing we need to understand, the connectivity between CloudPlex and GroundPlex should be present. And this is a mandatory recommended thing actually. You have multiple SnapLexes, okay? It can be CloudPlexes. You have 2-3 CloudPlexes and 2-3 GroundPlexes. In each you will have multiple nodes, like each has 3 or 4 nodes, okay? All your nodes, okay, all your nodes in your plexus should have connectivity to others. Like they should be able to communicate to each other. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, CloudPlex cannot connect to SAP, but CloudPlex can connect to GroundPlex because here also SnapLogic package installed. Here also SnapLogic package installed. In both servers, SnapLogic is running. So they both will communicate each other, and they both will communicate to respective data source. Here on CloudPlex, we will select CloudPlex to bring data from Salesforce and pass that data to GroundPlex. And GroundPlex will load the data to SAP. So one of the use case we did implemented, this is a very rare use case actually. Okay, one of the use cases we implemented 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was about Hive. We need to read data from Hive, which means Hadoop system. Okay, it is on premise, and we need to load it to several spaces. First, we load it to S3. In that case, we implemented this hybrid model. Okay, this is just an example. Here in this example is for SAP. Another example, Hadoop to AWS. Okay, architecture. It is just a revisit of the same kind of architecture. Okay, what is present here? Okay, this is to recap our understanding on CloudPlex and the GroundPlex. Okay, this is a SnapLogic cloud present in the cloud. Okay, in the AWS cloud, connects to CloudPlex. CloudPlex will connect to the endpoint systems. Same way, SnapLogic will connect to GroundPlex. GroundPlex will connect to on-premise systems. And in their both cases, you will see metadata between SnapLogic and GroundPlex, metadata between SnapLogic and CloudPlex. The data transfer, you see black. Here you see gray. The black indicates the data. Data transfer between cloud apps and GroundPlex, and ground apps and GroundPlex. In between, our firewall. So any client will have, any GroundPlex will have firewall, right? Some ports and systems we need to connect. So we need to enable the ports. Let's say we are connecting to some SFTP. Okay. For SFTP, it can be cloud SFTP or on-premise SFTP. Usually for SFTP, the port number is 22, and they can be customized ports also. I want to read a file from an SFTP system, and for that, host and the port firewall should allow the connection. Hope you're getting me right.
And higher level overview of this architecture. that we
Correct, yeah.
discussed.
Okay, now we see the features. Okay, you can also think the advantages of SnapLogic. As I mentioned before, streaming. There, SnapLogic does our SnapLex nodes do data streaming, and no data is stored or cached. It can be CloudPlex, it can be GroundPlex, okay, it can be uh, SnapLogic Cloud. Nowhere the data is stored. Only data streaming will happen. Okay. The other, easily design and monitor and manage. We have three components, right? Once we log in, I'll show you. You might have already seen, right? Design, monitor, designer, manager, and dashboard. All three in the same UI. Right? We build a pipeline. We do administration of the platform. We do monitor the executions and look for insights. Everything is in the same UI. That is user friendly, right? And on-premise. As we talked about this till now, SnapLogic supports on-premise and cloud environments both. We can run our pipelines according to our feasibility and the connectivity. And it supports cloud, ground, and also hybrid. You see automated tasks. I brought this point. We have three types of automated tasks. Okay, we will discuss further. One is scheduled, the other is triggered. Okay, which will be called by an API. The other way, the third one is ultra, which is always on running. Whenever data present, it will immediately process with no delay. That is an ideal approach for real-time integrations, where we do not expect latency, but in real-time use cases. And Elastic, we can easily scale out and handles data and application integration. There's no limit on the number of pipelines you create on SnapLogic. Okay, and you can store files in the manager UI, which we call as SLDB, that has a limit of 100 MB. The file storage cannot be beyond 100 MB. Okay, so any file you want to store that is more than 100 MB, you need to choose some storage location. It cannot be in the UI. Okay, and there's no limit on the number of files. Okay, you can have hundreds of pipelines, thousands of pipelines, thousands of files. Okay, and also several tasks, and there's no limit on that. And you can easily scale out the SnapLex also. Okay, let's say you have your SnapLex has 4 nodes today. Okay, you want to add you will be having more executions pipeline load. Okay, your load will be significantly increasing. You need to have more nodes present. It can be horizontal scaling or vertical scaling. You can easily add without any impact on the pipelines or the actual execution. And I will tell you how that load balancing will happen when we discuss about pipeline execution flows. Okay, and encryption. It is very important to know about encryption, right? Because we are working with many confidential values, confidential information. That the accounts information I'm talking about. Let's say you connect to DB. Right? For the DB, you will give DB host name, DB username, password, port number, everything. That will be stored in the SnapLogic Cloud information, right? And that information will be encrypted and then stored. Account information. Okay, that usually has two types of encryptions: standard encryption and enhanced encryption. Okay. Do you have some idea on the encryption part? SSL keys.
It's like what we see in our day-to-day WhatsApp and all those stuff, like encrypted data. It's not even not accessible by SnapLogic itself. That's what it meant.
It is little deeper, this concept. Do you have an idea on SSL?
No.
Okay. Yeah, if you would like to know, I can take a couple of minutes to explain. Do you want?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say we use SSL keys, right, for any encryption. Encryption will happen only with the keys, right? Usually, the encryption happens with the public, with a combination of public and private keys, the SSL keys, to say. SSL keys will have algorithms, different types of mechanisms, encryption algorithm mechanisms. And here, let's talk about standard encryption first. Standard encryption will happen with the keys, SSL keys generated by SnapLogic. Okay. In some environments, in some customer environments, like banks, okay, banks is financial data is more secure than anything else, right? So some environment like banks. Okay, I forgot the bank name. Hampshire Bank. I forgot. I don't remember the bank name. And yeah, I remember the Emirates Airlines. You know, right? Emirates Airlines. You know, the airlines in UAE. Let's take an example of that. So they have SnapLogic infrastructure. Okay, they are using their processing a lot of integrations, and they do not want SnapLogic generated keys to encrypt their data. Okay, they want to use their own certificates. They will manage, they will create, and they will manage the certificates, SSL certificates, which are more advanced and which are trusted by their vendors. They will buy from their vendors. They will buy the SSL certificates and they will use them on SnapLogic to encrypt their data. In that case, they have the option to use enhanced encryption method. This gives more advanced features which fields to be encrypted and which certificates to be used for encryption. That kind of options. This is a subscription feature. If you want to use enhanced encryption, there are several topics you need to know, and you need to maintain your own keys, and the keys have certain validity, right? Usually they are between 3 to 6 months. When the keys expire, before the expiry, we need to replace the new SSL keys. They call key rotation, okay, certificates rotation. That is about enhanced encryption. Hope you got the clear picture.
Yes, I got it. SSL encryption course.
Sorry?
I got it. Regarding the SSL encryption course.
Okay. Fine. So subscription features. So SnapLogic has not only the UI that we operate, it has some other tools also available. Okay, one of them is API management tool. SnapLogic has an API management tool like APG, Service Gateway, or any other API management tool. SnapLogic also has an API management tool. We need to subscribe. It is like additional cost for the client. And other is Ultra. I said another type of tasks for real-time integration, Ultra, right? When we talk about automated tasks. That is also a subscription feature. And also, enhanced encryption is also a subscription feature. These features will make some additional cost. Okay, like this. One more tool is called flows. That is again a different tool in the different URI UI. So for all these tools, they do not available with a standard SnapLogic UI. They need to purchase. Then only they are available. Okay. See the communication flow. This is just to recap what we understood. How when you run a pipeline, how the communication flow happens. This is just to illustrate what we discussed here. Okay. You triggered a pipeline. You run a pipeline in the UI, or it can be automated job. Okay. Control plane initiates, prepares the pipeline, and gives the data. Not prepare actually. Prepares the metadata, brings metadata, and sends to SnapLogic node. It can be any SnapLogic. It simply sends to SnapLogic node, one of the nodes in a cluster. A node will load the metadata and prepare the pipeline, loading the required library and the configurations. Okay, that's a your pipeline connects from it has two endpoints. Source is Salesforce, target is Redshift. So node will prepare the libraries to perform operations to Salesforce and Redshift. That is called a pipeline preparation. It will prepare the pipeline. Once the pipeline is prepared, it will initiate the connection to the end service, the endpoint. Hope this is clear.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we already discussed about the architecture. We will see the main components. Okay, the main components
So
of the internet.
can we continue this one tomorrow?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the time. Okay, all right.
Yeah, no problem.
So,
Because, my work timing is like 11 o'clock, so I have to leave at 10:30 at least. That's it. Mm.
all right, fine. And what about today's Friday? No?
What
Monday at
about
the
today?
same time.
What about Saturday, Sunday? Are you free? Then we can connect it in one of the day, either
Yeah,
Saturday
usually
or Sunday.
I'll have sessions on weekends, but this weekend I'll be moving out. I mean, I'm traveling.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, okay, we can connect on Monday. No?
I'll see the feasibility. Okay, may I know when
Yeah,
are you available? If I am free on weekend.
yeah, anytime is fine. You can just ping me and WhatsApp you. If you are available, we can connect up and have it.
Then we'll see. Tomorrow, same time, 9 to 10, we can connect.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I'll be here at home till 11
Yeah.
11 a.m. So tomorrow, same
Okay.
time, we'll connect.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. All right then. Okay, now we'll see error handling approach to what to do in case of an error.
Sure. Yeah.
The pipeline is missing. Okay, no error. Okay. So in this approach, we are opening error view for the snaps where we can expect errors to happen, like file reader or mapper or somewhere. We do union all this and we do map the error schema and do whatever the necessary action, email sending, writing a file or writing it to some log table or something. In this case, where is if error happens in any other snap where we did not open the error view, it fails as normal.
Correct.
So other approach is to have the error handler open. We need to do error handling for all the snaps that we cannot open. If we can open, but it doesn't look good. If we open the error views for all the snaps.
Correct.
So let's do follow another approach where we create another pipeline called error pipeline and route the error data to that pipeline. I will name it as error pipeline. Under this, I'm creating a new one. Now I will just create a copy of it. I will name it as demo 2 error handling. And in this case, I don't open any error. I'll close all of them. This is closed. This is closed. Now we expect some errors to happen because of wrong path given in this file.
Correct. Yeah.
So I want to route the error data wherever the error happens in the entire pipeline. Let it route to another pipeline called error pipeline here. First, let's simply create, copy, keep the mapper. Okay, we don't have email sender now working, so I'll just have file name error pipeline data. So this is the error pipeline, which is a common pipeline I can use in any pipeline to route the errors.
Right.
All we need to do is go here. Here we can see error pipeline.
Yeah.
We need to select that here. We have error pipeline. Okay. And if the error pipeline is expecting any parameters, we need to pass from here, like a pipeline ID or the pipeline name or the project path or such. Right now I didn't have any. I'll save it. Now it will show you. So this will change the default error behavior. I will show you where we can find it.
Okay.
Now, if we open any snap, we will see the option changed. Route to error pipeline. There is no stop option here.
Right.
That stop option will be removed because this pipeline will not stop.
Okay, so that option is coming dynamically. So as soon as we configure it at the pipeline level to route, okay.
So wherever the error happens now, error data will be routed to a separate pipeline called our error pipeline, and the execution continues. And we will see this pipeline as completed in on the dashboard. So there is no stop option here. So that default option is changed from stop to route to error pipeline.
Right.
So this happens to all the snaps in this pipeline.
Okay.
You can see here route to error pipeline. So now this has become the default option.
Right.
Okay, let's see how it seems. And I also want to add some parameters because I want to make it a generic way.
Correct.
So I need some parameters. What is the pipeline name? What is the runtime ID, etc. Let me add a few parameters. So this is let's take it as normal pipeline. Okay, it requires some parameters. I will add a pipeline name. Let's keep it somewhere. and runtime ID. Give it. So these two values I need to pass as a parameters to error pipeline.
Right. Yeah.
So they should be in the generic pattern. Let me first map them here. Runtime ID. Now I need to add the parameters here in the error pipeline parameters.
Right. Yeah.
So my parameters are pipeline name. How can I give the pipeline name? Pipe.label is the function for that.
Right.
You can use any functions, or it can be a static value also.
Yeah.
Okay. Pipe.label
Right.
gives the name of the pipeline. The other runtime ID. Pipe.reuid will give the runtime ID. That's it. I don't need anything else.
Yep.
Save it. The whole thing I can delete also.
Yep.
It is totally deleteable. Right. Let's keep it. I'm running it. And see on dashboard. Finished. Here we can see when we expand, error pipeline has been triggered.
Right. Yep.
And this shows triggered as error pipeline.
Right.
This triangle alert kind of means it's an error pipeline to identify. Okay, how many documents? Oh, one or two one. Okay, here also we put wrong one, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So 101 documents it received and generated the file with error data.
Yep.
Error pipeline data. We can see all
Right. Yep.
pipeline name, runtime ID, body, and all the 100 records.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So this way we do work in this kind of pattern when we are having a large number of pipelines and we need a
Right.
common framework.
Yep.
Okay.
But one quick question, not related to the pipeline. Can you click on this edit error pipeline, please?
Okay. Yep.
So I know like when to use key, I mean like the error pipeline parameters and the parameters. This expression libraries is it something like we need to know, or is the last
Expression.
option?
Yeah, I'll give a brief information about it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll explain what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this approach is clear, right?
Yes, I'm clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, ideally in any project, I think this would be the ideal case. Like, unless
Right.
like you have we have a very
like simple use case where we do not have much heavy lifting. Otherwise, like it's always good practice to have a common error pipeline. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. One more. We're done with error handling. We'll see the expression library. What is it
Okay.
and how to work on it? How can we use custom expressions? Now we know we have a wide range of functions which are pre-built, right?
Right.
If we want to keep some expression and use it in the pipelines, we can do it. That's what expression library. This
Okay.
is user-defined expression library. Okay.
Okay.
Let me create a sample file. This is CSV. Okay. Demo expr. So we need to have the file as expr so that it
Okay.
will understand as expression library file. It
Okay.
is JSON only. You can also keep it JSON. It will also accept it.
Okay.
But as a standard practice, we keep the file name as extension expr.
Okay.
So how do we create custom functions? Let's say I have this file contains file name. Okay. Let me modify it, or let's use a JSON to understand better. JSON generator. Okay, I'm creating the expression file. Just following the JSON.
Right.
So I have a file name.
Right.
Let me keep it source file. Target file. Demo underscore employee records dot some CSV. This is my actual data. So
Okay.
I have given source file name, target file name. That's it. So these are common that I need to refer in some pipeline.
Okay.
Okay. I can have a complex expression also here. I'm just using just to show you how
Yeah.
do we use it. Here we can have a complex JSON script, JavaScript. Okay, I didn't use comma.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is my file. We have
Yeah.
source name, source file name, target file name. I need to read this file and convert. Okay, this 1, 2, 3 is not there. No? Okay, this is wrong.
Oh yeah.
Target name will be JSON. So our use case is just reading this file, convert to JSON, and write it. That's it. For that, we need to refer the file names and the paths in a common location.
Okay.
Okay. I have the source file name, target file name. So now in my pipeline, I have a file reader, CSV parser. I don't need any mapper. Okay. Okay, it's okay to keep mapper. And I need to convert it to JSON and write the file. Here, in this case, I need to refer to the configuration file where I have some values to read from.
Yeah.
I will give that path here. I need to select the name of that expr
Okay.
demo.expr. This is the file where I have custom scripts.
Right.
It can be simple key value pair like
Right.
a normal simple JSON, or it can be
Right.
some complex expression. And what is the alias name I need to refer here? Like how we do alias in the SQL. So
Right.
we need to give the alias name. Like let me give like a config. Okay, to refer to the values present in the expr, I need to use the syntax as lib dot the alias name. Lib is a common. Okay, this means we are telling the snap that read the file from an expression library file.
Right.
And one more, we can have multiple files, multiple XPR.
Okay.
Okay, for all them, we need to give unique alias names.
Okay. So, like, can I interrupt you for a second? Like, so
Yeah, sure.
can we use this particular functionality? I'm just asking out of my curiosity. So, irrespective, when like I have my variables, meaning like I have to connect to some target system where I have
Yeah.
parameters which differs across the environments. Meaning for QA, for dev,
Right.
I have some variables, and QAs I have some variables, and production I have some variables in terms of.
Yeah, in
So
that
is
case,
this
we
the
use it.
okay?
We usually suggest for that one.
Okay, so even like even for the connectivity, like my target access key and credentials are different across the environments. So is it the right way to do it? Like you guys do it in the same way here?
No, we do not recommend to keep credentials or such values, confidential values in the XPR, because
Okay.
EXPR we keep on SLDB, right?
Right, right. Oh yeah, yeah.
Here files means SLDB, so we should
Right,
not
right.
keep any confidential values in any of these files.
Okay.
There
Because we
should be
don't have
some
the
basic or
controls.
the metadata, but not the actual data.
Okay.
So it is good to keep some common values, which should be used in many pipelines within the same environment,
Okay.
within the same project or same project space or the same environment, where multiple pipelines have to refer it to get the
Right.
value instead
Okay.
giving any. And sometimes some values we need to pick, right? And let's say some an email ID, okay,
Yeah.
some DL, okay. When we are using, let's take an example like error handler. Yeah, in our error pipeline, let's assume we are sending an email,
Right.
okay, here, and for that we need to send email to our some set of people.
Right.
This is common to all the error pipelines in all the error scenarios within the environment. There can be several pipelines.
Right.
So there should be some central location. If I
Right.
keep some the list in some location where I have the common
Right.
area, all the pipelines can refer. I can keep that in the file expr. So in all the pipelines where expr can refer to, simply keep that value. So
Yeah.
it always goes there and pick the value. So
It's
in
so
case
easy
if
of
we need to change
maintenance.
something, we don't need
Yeah.
to go on each and every pipeline to do the modification.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a common. Since we call like this as a pipeline parameter, right?
Right.
This means the value that we set here, the key we define here, can be used in any of the snaps within this pipeline. Right?
Right.
Same way, this is like a global parameter. I want to make some parameters to be available at a global level, and so that any pipeline in any project within the same environment can refer
Right.
to. So that's like a global parameter.
Right.
This is like a class parameters in
Yeah.
Java
Yeah.
language.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. That's clear.
So where did we do it? So I put this value. List type does not have a method. Okay, it should not be list actually. When I created a file, it created as a list. It
Oh,
should
okay.
not be. So we need to modify that file. Here there's no feasibility to modify that file. It should not be in an array. Okay.
Yeah.
It can be, but we need to write some expression like we need to extract that and read that. Okay. I will download and edit the file. Okay, I did that modification. I'll upload it.
Yeah.
Overwrite. Now we can see it is validated. So I added a new value called extracts. So let's assume we have multiple sources, multiple source files to read and convert to JSON and write.
Okay.
So all multiple will have in an array. I created an array. So extracts is an array. So we split this array. This is called extracts. Let's split it. Here we have only one. In real time, we can have multiple. So that multiple files can be read and simply keep it there.
Yeah.
So I'll use JSON splitter to make them separate records, objects, extracts, and then read it.
Yeah.
Now we read the source file from $. And here, since I did not make it a simple one, okay, I cannot find target file name easily. I need to extract from the file, from the expr array. Instead, I can simply do copy of it. Let's choose a new name. Now we have the required data. Okay, instead of this, we need to use join. Here I've got source and target file names along with actual data. I need to remove this to be returned to the file. So to do that, let's keep the target file name first. The actual data we will keep like data. I'm creating an object and inserting actual data into this, and the other metadata like source file name. We don't need a source file name, we need target file name. Target file name should not be written as a data element. Okay, so this target file name we will select as a binary header here. And here in the content we select data. So we are separating it.
Yeah.
This target file name will select right here. That's it. Somewhere it failed. Target name is undefined. Okay. And so I need to use one. Okay, done. File has been written. Let's look at the name of the file. You can see demo employee records successfully written to all the 100 records, more than 100, 500 records in the file total. So here we did not see the metadata or source file name or target file name, since we are writing only the actual data in the data object.
Right.
This is a use case where we use the expression library.
Yeah. Yes. Good.
Okay. That's it about it. Hope this is clear.
Yeah. I'm good with this.
And okay, we are done with this topic.
So in general, I'm going back to my previous question, just asking,
Yeah.
just for my understanding, like, let's say I'm connecting to SAP, okay, and I have some credentials, and I have created uh, my account for the SAP for the dev environment, and then I have my QA. I mean, like when it comes to when I'm moving my pipelines to higher environments, whether it's a QA or production. So will I be creating accounts specific to each environment, or like
Right.
will I be okay?
Accounts always should be different between the production and non-production.
Okay.
In
So
real time.
okay. And but when we are moving the pipeline from dev to QA, so every time like I have to select the QA pipeline like manually when I'm deploying it in QA, and when I'm deploying it in production, I have to choose manually which account I have to choose.
Right. We need to.
Oh,
And
okay.
one easy thing is that when we are selecting accounts, that is
Okay.
one way. Another way, if we do not want to do any modifications in the production once deployed,
Okay.
it is good to keep account names here. Account names usually should be the same across all the environments. When I
Correct.
say Redshift, right?
Right.
Redshift, I'm connecting to some employee database.
Okay.
Okay, Redshift EMP should be the account name. So this
Okay.
the account name should be the same in all the environments. In that
Right.
case, we keep Redshift account here, okay, and refer this in the pipeline.
Okay.
So when it goes to production, you don't need to modify anything.
Okay. Okay.
This
Makes
is one
sense.
of the standard process.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah. Or if you want to keep all the accounts in the EXPR,
Okay.
you can refer to in the EXPR.
Yeah. But again,
But
like as you said,
accounts
like
it is okay to keep only in the parameter,
yeah.
because if you keep in the EXPR, it will be a large number of list, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
account
Yeah.
will have a lot of accounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just ping me asking for the meeting link. I think he missed the link here.
Hi, Sunil.
Hi, Joel. I'm just looking at your message now and looking for the link.
So it was been
I tried reaching you just before we begin. So we continued since you may be busy.
yeah.
Okay. So we discussed about error handling in the last session. How to use pipeline. That's very important in real time. How do we use pipeline executor use? I think you were here, right? 13th.
Yes.
Yeah. So we discussed about one more approach with the pipeline execute snap, where we use batching the whole volume of data, and error handling approach one. Error handling approaches are two. We discussed one in the last session and one in today's session, the second one. Okay, and we also discussed about EXPR, expression library file. When do we use it and how do we use it? EXPR file. This is a custom expression library file we define. Okay. Anyway, you can refer to the recording. Okay. And do you have any questions to help? In the previous session, we might be doing some practice.
No, Sanal. So no, it's going good.
Okay. Yeah, if you have anything, feel free to ask. Okay, we're almost finished. Okay. And let me give you some introduction about Ultra, because that's one theoretical topic. And we will discuss about the best practices, then we'll finish. Ultra, we have discussed about the scheduled tasks. The type of automated jobs are three. We discussed about scheduled task and the trigger task. One more task is Ultra, which is always on running. It's a big topic again. I'll give you a brief introduction what it's about. Okay, Ultra is always on running. When we start Ultra task, we see it always appear on this dashboard running. Okay, there are two types of Ultra. How do we create Ultra pipeline? There, it is having some rules and restrictions to follow in some snaps. Yeah, here it is. So Ultra is ideal for real-time integrations where we do not have much latency. Right? We require business critical integrations, like when order is customer placed an order, it should be immediately produce an acknowledgement, or it should immediately show up the bill or invoice in that kind of integrations. We use Ultra to reduce the latency, and also it is different between the event driven and the real time. When I say event driven, we use trigger tasks. When certain event happens, some actions are a series of actions to be performed. In that case, we use trigger task. Okay, the consumer application will call our trigger API, SnapLogic API. So pipeline will initiate and then process. Here there will be some latency each time when a trigger has to happen. And your load or the traffic is going higher than the normal one. In that case, you need low latency in the event-driven executions. So it has become real time. The data to be processed within a few seconds without any latency, without any loading time or something. So we keep that as an Ultra. Ultra waits for that input data to be received. It's always running. Okay, whenever there's a data present, it will immediately process it without any delay, without any holding in the execution, pipeline execution. And it has some guidelines that we need to follow. Here we can see implement web services integration that require sub-second response times and support a combination of document or also the binary input and output use. An error handling mechanism can also be implemented for Ultra pipelines, and supports high availability. And there's another feature in the Ultra. High availability configurations are present. If I show how do we create Ultra
So
here?
does it mean by default Ultra pipeline requires a different configuration than normal pipelines? Sorry.
Not different, just a
Okay.
few actions we need to take.
Okay.
I will tell you one by one what we need to think about when we design a pipeline to create an Ultra task. Let's say I've created this pipeline. Okay, this is done. Okay, I wanna use it as a trigger task. Okay, this is having some input view. Okay, that's good without having any output view. So I made it. If I create this trigger task, it will become synchronous trigger task, right? And if I create schedule task does not have any restrictions. It simply executes it, right? There's no not like no support for some snaps like kind of. Trigger task supports any pattern. Sorry, schedule task supports any pattern. Trigger task supports defined patterns where we should not have more than one input view or more than one output view. These kind of things we need to take care when creating trigger task. So when it comes to Ultra, we need to follow more guidelines. One is that we should not use any batching snap in the Ultra pipeline. Right now, if I create Ultra task, it fails because I have some batching snaps in my pipeline. What is that? Here, JSON formatter. So Ultra task does not support batching because it is the purpose of Ultra is to have low latency and a streaming process, right? JSON formatter does not do streaming. It waits until the whole data is given by the previous snap. So it keeps the execution on hold. So such kind of snaps are not supported in Ultra, like sort snap, aggregate snap, JSON formatter, CSV formatter. They do not support. In case if we have the necessity to use, we can keep it pipeline execute snap and pass on the data to child pipeline. Okay, let's see the options now. SnapLogic, these are common for all these. And here we will see instances. How many number of parallel instances the Ultra can run? If it depends on the load, okay, load of your integration. If you expect, like, if your business is more and the data is more, you need a more faster response. You can have the default is 1. Okay, you can have 10. You can have 100 also. So 100 pipeline instances will be executing on dashboard. Okay, how do we pass data to it? That's another question. Okay, there are two ways. This is like a barrel token. How do we use for trigger task? This is common. And maximum failures. If it receives, if it fails these many number of failed executions, task will be disabled automatically. Max in flight means how many records or the API calls in the queue. It follows a queue mechanism, right? So it is just to have the executions in the queue. We'll see how do we pass the data. So there are two types of Ultra pipelines. One is that it will have an unconnected input view, and it must have an unconnected input view in the type 1. Same like a trigger task. Okay, it waits for the data to be passed from the trigger caller through our triggers API. whatever the application consumes that API and sends some data in the body, API called body, it will consume it and then process it, and it must have one unconnected output view. So it will pass the response back to the caller. Okay, in this case, there is a special type of node called feed master. It acts as a load balancer. It takes feed from the API consumer. Okay, let's say our integration is having heavy data, right? Heavy traffic. So feed master takes it, the whole load, and balances the load and distribute the request, incoming API request, across the nodes within the same SnapLogic. Just like a load balancer. Takes the feed from the API calls and distribute it to the available nodes. This is one way. Another way is always on, which means no unconnected input view or the output views. Everything closed. In this case, this is general practice and ideal when we are connecting to any message queuing system. It can be Kafka or ActiveMQ or any other message queuing system. In that case, we do not have to pass any data to it. It will establish a connection to the message queue system. For example, we have Amazon SQS. I think you may have an idea what is Amazon SQS. It's a message queuing service from Amazon. And from Azure, it is Azure Service Bus. It's a message queuing application. And Kafka. Kafka. Kafka is most popular message queue data streaming application. So we connect to this, the queue. Whenever data present in the queue, it will immediately pick and then process. If I say consumer, okay, consumer will connect to SQS queue. Okay? Whenever a message is placed, whatever the application, it can be any application. If I show better here, okay. So this is my MQ application, message queue. Let's assume I'm using Kafka. So this I have multiple applications running in my business. Send data to this through web forms, some Java applications or C++ applications, whatever. They send the data to the Kafka queue. In Kafka terminology, it is called a topic. They produce data to Kafka topics. There can be multiple Kafka topics. I have multiple topics here. So it depends on the application or the business category. It produces message to different topics here. So we created Ultra task for that. Our Ultra I created to connect to this topic. Whenever let's say this is an e-commerce site, whenever there's a customer order placed, it sends the message to Kafka topic here. In that message, it will mention like what is the customer name, what is the list of orders in that, the list of items in that order, and the total amount, everything. And Ultra, whenever there's a message placed here, Ultra will immediately process without any delay. There will be delay of few milliseconds. between this message place and this, because it does a continuous polling of it. Hope you're following.
Yes, yes.
This is way beyond. If I go, it will take 3 to 4 hours to explain the complete algorithm. But to give you more detailed understanding, so this is how Ultra works.
I can correlate. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's the type 2 Ultra, where we do not, nobody has to trigger it through API. Okay. In this case, we do not need to call any API. Only thing is that it is always in connection to the message queue and do continuous polling. Polling will be, I think, every 5 minutes, like that. It depends on the configuration here. All these are configurations. There will be many settings, depends on the application. For Azure Service Bus, processing mode, synchronous, asynchronous, it totally depends on the application. When I say Kafka, Kafka has more advanced features. Here. Here, we will have message count and everything. So this is what Ultra about. Okay, we will also have different tools, okay, which SnapLogic provides, offers actually. And by the way, Ultra is a premium feature. It does not come by the standard license. Clients have to subscribe it for Ultra feature. The same way, API management is another subscription feature. API management is another tool from SnapLogic. It's same like APG, Gravity, or any other API management tool. And SnapLogic has recently launched one more tool called AutoSync that we can see here. AutoSync. This is also subscribed to. I think right now they are giving just for a demo. Okay, now let's see the best practices, few guidelines that we need to follow. Okay, limitations and best practices. These are a few. I think we already discussed the number of things, the standards we need to follow in the real-time environment. And beyond that, there are a few more. Okay, let's talk about limits. Okay, there are some scenarios where people call the same pipeline via pipeline execute snap. There can be that kind of scenarios. That is not recommended. I can keep a pipeline execute snap, okay, calling some other pipeline. If I keep the same pipeline as parent, it goes to infinite loop, right?
Correct.
Some cases we can route it based on some parameter or some value, but it has a limit of 64 iterations. Okay, of course it is not recommended because this loop occupies more of CPU and node resources, RAM, CPU resources. Okay, that's one thing. And when we are using trigger your task, okay, if we are calling the trigger task from on-premise, it is recommended to use on-premise URL rather the cloud URL. I think I showed when we create a trigger task.
Yeah, it's generating both.
It generates two. Yeah, it generates two URLs. One is a cloud URL, other is on-premise. So this can be directly connected to your system, your SnapLogic node. So if you are both consumer and caller, both in the same organizational network, where we have the direct connectivity, it is better to use this to avoid some latency. if the consumer is some third-party application out of your network application or cloud application like Salesforce or NetSuite, then we should use cloud URL. This will, using on-premise URL to call from the same network will avoid some latency. Okay, and set the batch size in email sender Snap to avoid sending several emails individually. I think when I talked about email sender, I mentioned about it. So it is always recommended to use HTML table when we are using email sender, because if we pass more number of, let's say, 10 records to email sender, it will generate 10 emails. It sends 10 emails by default. If we use HTML table option there, it will list out all in the table and send only one email. That batch size we can set in the email sender Snap. I think I showed it. Email sender. Here HTML table. Here the batch size. So for each 100 documents from the input, it lists out all the data in the table format and sends only one email. Okay. Below. And naming convention. So in real time, it is good to have a standard naming convention when we are following in the pipelines. So usually pipelines contain the source and the target and the descriptive way. Let's say I'm using this integration to connect to Salesforce. Okay, source is Salesforce and the target is Redshift. And to do some word description like batch load. This is a standard naming convention, pipeline naming convention. And if it is a child pipeline, it is always good to keep underscore C to identify what is a parent, what is a child easily. Or instead of C, we can keep some descriptive way, what is the child about, like mapping. Okay. Okay, and it is always recommended to use labels for the snaps, what it does, each snap, like the mapper, or let's say file reader. Instead of the default name, I can keep read file from S3, like that, to each snap. Other is use Ultra pipeline, which we already discussed. For low latency integrations, it is recommended to use Ultra to be more efficient and faster solution. And it is important to maintain pipeline versions. When we are modifying any pipeline, it's good to keep a version of it here. So now I'm done with the pipeline development, and it is moving to QA. Okay, I'll mention like tested and moving to UAT. And in UAT, we can keep like UAT finished and moving to production. This way, when we are modifying next time due to any changes in the pipeline, we will see the previous version, what are the changes to do and what were done earlier. We can create number of versions for a pipeline. Okay. And set alerts, alert notifications for pipeline events and tasks. We already discussed when we create a task, we keep the notification alerts. Sometimes people miss it, and when the pipeline fails, it does not send any notification. Later, we realize that the pipeline failed. So it is always good to keep at gmail.com. Then it gives when to send an alert when a pipeline failed or stopped, like this. It is always recommended to keep email notifications. Okay, and this is now not present. We can remove it. All right, I think this is clear. Any questions, Naveen? Well,
Yeah, it's good, Sunil. Only one thing is, I would like to ask one question, which is, uh, I would like to practice for this week, and maybe like this is my view. Maybe Sohail, please can add your points. After a week, maybe coming weekend, we'll have one session. I mean, if where I'll consolidate if I have any questions during my practice or in my understanding anything. One session would be really great. Sunil.
Okay.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah, sure. Then we can have one session maybe next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll consolidate my questions, whatever it is, and
Sure. Yeah. Okay. We can have evening session, Sunday evening session in our time.
Yeah.
It is good to have. That's okay. Anything else? And I would like to know how do you feel about the whole training and the topics, or any feedback you would like to give me?
From my end, it's absolutely great, Sunil. I have no idea before I joined this session about SnapLogic, but now, I was able to correlate things the way you are explaining things. So, this overall, it's very good.
Okay, thank you. And Suhel, do you have anything?
Yes, as an analyst, actually, I would like to say, although had some instance about this snap logic, the things running behind, I was totally unaware, and this is training helped me out in the API calls and all those stuff. As mentioned, I have to do some more hands-on on these stuff, like connecting with various
Yeah,
orgs and yes, all
exactly.
those.
And you can do certifications. I suggest everybody to do
Yep,
the
the
free
free
certification.
certification.
Yeah, the free one you can register for that, and when you finish that video module, you will be having the exam to finish. It is having 3 levels. Okay, we need to finish all 3 levels to get passed, to get the certification. Since you are now completely aware of what is what, and there will be some questions about some DB snaps and some expressions. Apart from that, everything what we covered will be in the exam assessment. So you
You
will
mean
be
for
able to answer
the
most of the
basic?
questions.
Okay, you mean for the to become a certified developer kind of thing?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I think I showed right initially.
Yeah.
Where to find it? It is in the resources. You go to uh, here. You can register for the certification. This one. This
Yeah,
is a
man,
free
these
one.
are expensive, man. Definitely, it's
Yeah.
not like.
Right. So yeah, this is the only. This is just like a basic beginner one. The accreditation, and this is the integrator, which is the most important. The integrated one is the expensive one, $9.95. So developer, this may not be required 99% of the time. Nobody requires it unless we have to do some custom snaps development, which is purely depends on the JavaScript. And architect is the top one. The administrator is another one. Okay, and I cleared all of this.
Okay. So
You can
usually, like in other integration platforms, like usually, like there will be like meetups and where we'll get some coupons to give these certifications. Do we get similar coupons?
Not actually, but for workshops and things, you can register here.
Okay.
They do post some workshops. You can find it. The events and webinars.
Okay.
So I think this month they have multiple. November 2nd, you can see automate with SnapLogic SAP integration.
Okay.
SAP ERP. And right now this is in progress. This was started beginning this month. Okay. Integrate world tour. So they are going to have webinars and events planned in different countries and different cities. So we can see the complete plan when it's going to be in India. Okay, EMEA, Paris, North America, APAC. Okay, it's not in India. Okay, in all these. If you wanna attend any nearby location, and if this is nearby, Dallas.
Yeah, both of neither New York or Dallas are far away from me, but still.
Okay.
We'll see.
If you register, you can.
Yeah.
You can attend the event. And they also do conduct some workshops here. You see.
Yeah.
This is like a limited number of seats. If you would like to register, you can register now.
Okay. Okay.
There won't be like more than 50.
Okay.
When the registrations reach 50, they'll go. Okay. And November 15 on SnapLogic AWS in Toronto. And this is in Cincinnati. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Yeah. It's near to me actually.
Okay, then you can attend this one on November 10th. And this way we find all the webinars and events they organize. Okay. Fine. Anything else you'd like to ask?
I think I'm again, as I said, like I'm good. So we'll come back with a couple. Definitely, there might be questions while practicing. So I'll come back, Sunil. And thanks in advance.
Sure, definitely. We can be reachable, and some use cases in real time. If you would like to know, you can find it in the blog. Okay, this blog, and also the community. A lot of people be active in the community, SnapLogic community, to get the questions answered.
So
To know
do we
something.
have such thing like where I can post any like if
Yeah,
I
we discussed initially. I think community.
the support is one thing, but okay, there is a
Yeah,
community too.
support we need to reach out. The support
Right.
is not for everyone, only to the licensed clients.
Right.
And community is for everybody.
Okay.
Anybody can ask questions, and people do respond.
Okay.
In this community, you can sign up and ask for some questions. People ask questions. You see, yesterday somebody posted a question asking some expression how to do it, and people do respond. Some people quickly respond because they do give awards. Okay, to the most contributors every week. That's one of the reasons people are more active to
Okay.
help. And that's it. Okay, you can be active in the community to get some questions answered, and you can refer to blog to have some high-level idea on any big solutions. Okay, you want to have some financial solution, okay, or you want to implement some auto-sync solution. You can just refer this blog, and you can also refer to SnapLogic YouTube channel to get some idea how to do some patterns. Okay.